Hello and welcome to the Gaggle What We Challenge, and if necessary, destroy media narratives. I'm George Szamuely. With me today, of course, is co-founder of the Gaggle, Peter Lavelle. So, Peter, Elon Musk has been coming under a lot of attack, mostly from mainstream media, from the Democrats, from the liberal left. But interestingly enough, he's also come under attack from the right, and not just from the right, but from specifically the MAGA right, the MAGA Trump right, and namely from Steve Bannon, who kind of basically invented Trumpism back in 2015, 2016. Now, we talked a few weeks ago when the whole issue of the HB1 visa came up, and how Musk was trumpeting, "Oh, this is great. I've used HB1 to hire people, absolutely got to commit ourselves to HB1." And then Bannon and the people around Bannon went absolutely crazy and attacked Musk on saying, HB1, you got to hire Americans. What MAGA is about is hiring Americans. You can't just go around bringing in cheap labor from India or Bangladesh or whatever. You have to hire Americans. And and so intense was this onslaught against Musk that Musk kind of quickly backed away and said, "Yeah, well, maybe we need to reform the HB1 system."
Yeah,
Um,
and Vivek Ramaswamy, he actually
he,
stepped in.
he
He
really
stepped
stepped
in it.
into it,
He
and
stepped in it, and then the Elon Musk got a temporary pass.
that's right.
I mean, uh, Vivek's an interesting character, but he didn't read the room.
He didn't really, yes, exactly. It was very strange, and that was the end for the whole Vivek, who was going to be the number two to Musk. So it was Musk and Vivek were running this Department of
Yeah, the
Government
interesting thing
Efficiency.
about Vivek is that what I mean by he stepped in it, he was talking, it's all about culture.
Right,
Well, Vivek, it was about the culture of your milieu at the time,
right,
not the entire country.
right,
Vivek, they didn't have, the entire country, the MAGA people didn't have the privilege
right,
that you had. And
right,
so you can comment and critique your very specific elitist milieu, but
right,
don't do that for the rest of the people, okay? Because on some of the points, I could see what he's talking about that one very thin layer.
right. Yeah, yeah, that's right. But the thing is, when you do that and when you attack um, the people amongst whom you live, and you basically tell them that they're stupid and they're lazy, and they're not like I am, I really work on my
I'm
exams,
the
and I
smartest
really
guy in the classroom. La
exactly,
la
I
la.
was the smartest guy, that's right. And I really worked on my school work, and I did my homework on time, and that's right. No one likes that. No one like, it's everyone knows the type, the SWAT at school who always gets his homework done on time, and always gets perfect scores. So it came across as very, very unattractive, and it was a very strange thing for somebody who has political ambitions to do that. He claims that he's going to run for governor of
I,
Ohio. I don't think he's going to win.
I think he's done. I think
Yeah,
he's done.
right. Um, but anyway, so but this that was one issue. But there are other issues that Bannon had objected to with in the case of Musk. First of all, he doesn't like Musk's closeness to China. He does a lot of work in China. Bannon doesn't like Musk's whole transhumanism, inserting chips into human brains, which is very bizarre and rather creepy activity.
Isn't this enough?
Yes,
Isn't this
exactly.
enough?
Yeah, yeah, that's right. But the most interesting thing is, which it was now has exploded, is that he thinks Musk isn't really serious about cutting government spending, and this is when Bannon wants to cut the government spending, or if you're not going to cut government spending, you have to raise taxes on the rich. That's the Bannon theme, and so for some time, Musk really didn't pay much attention to him, but this finally he kind of went at Bannon. So here we have just the um, this is this. First of all, there was this tweet. If I can get this, yeah. So that was sent out by this Ian Miles Chong, who's just simply one of Musk's sidekicks. And he says, Steve Bannon is just mad that Elon is getting all the attention for doing a damn good job with USAID and other agencies being hit by Doge auditors. But was Bannon had given an interview to the New York Times in which he said, we're not going to, we can only talk about serious government spending cuts if we hit the defense spending. I mean, that's, if you're not going to touch that, then it's just all play acting. And of course, that's right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a $1 trillion, when you add everything into the whole defense spending, it comes to about $1 trillion. And if you're not going to tackle that, then just don't play games. Doge. I mean, the USAID. That's very nice, but it's just a pittance. How much you're going to save on USAID. Um, and and then Musk says, "Well, Bannon is a great talker, but not a great doer. What did he get done this week? Nothing."
Ooh.
Ooh.
We're in the sandbox, everybody.
That's right. And then somebody said, such a dumb thing to say, Elon. Bannon was speaking to groups of 5 and 10, rallying the troops during the Tea Party resistance days way back in 2010. Where were you? I'm grateful for all you have done, Elon, but don't talk shit about a guy who has been leading the movement for 15 years when you have only been at it for 6 months. Makes you sound incompetent.
Ooh, ouch.
Ouch. And then, but the interesting thing is this goes back to 2023 when Matt Gaetz says he's quoting Bannon. And Gates was always close to Bannon. He says, well, Elon Musk is a total and complete phony. He's owned lock, stock, and barrel by the Chinese Communist Party, and he acts like it. So this is Steve quoting Bannon. And then Musk then did this thing. I used to think Bannon was smart and evil, but now I realized I was wrong about the first part. And then CNN, this is 2018. Former White House chief strategist Steve Bannon blasts Elon Musk, says he's an immature man-child. And then Musk said, can Steve Bannon please insult me some more? Best PR I've had in a while. So there's no love lost there. And then here we have this is a recent article in the New York Times. Elon Musk is an evil person, Steve Bannon says. The comments highlighted rifts within the U.S. right wing and between the two men who have who have been influential advisors to President-elect Trump.
I think that Trump actually likes this.
I think so too. First of all, I think he's not happy with Musk stealing all the glory. I mean, Musk is on the cover of Time magazine, sitting at the Oval Office. Now, Time magazine obviously did it in order to needle Trump.
That's right.
But it worked. I mean, there's no question. It absolutely worked with Trump. He doesn't appreciate it that they have Musk sitting at his desk.
Trump's not taking that cover of Time magazine to Mar-a-Lago when he leaves.
No, I don't think so. Exactly. He likes those covers where it says "Man of the Year." Those are the covers he likes. But Musk sitting at his desk, no. So Bannon was an architect of Mr. Trump's presidential election victory in 2016, served as chief strategist since his release in October from a 4-month stint in a federal prison for contempt conviction. Mr. Bannon has renewed his war of words with Mr. Musk, who poured more than $250 million into Mr. Trump's election win in November, and has since been a constant presence.
I really like. Some people will say $240 million, so 250, but no, this a quarter of
a quarter of a billion. Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, that's a very good point. A quarter of a billion, exactly. You say, yeah. That's a very good point.
Yeah, this is not objective
Right,
journalism.
exactly. But exactly, you normally say, oh yeah, of course, 240 million, because well, that doesn't sound too much. Quarter of a billion, yo, whoa, that sounds a lot. Um, and then in the interview published last week, Mr. Bannon said, Mr. Musk, he's a truly evil person. Stopping him has become a personal issue for me. And then says the insults reflect a broad attention on the right in the United States about the direction of the movement that Mr. Trump has championed, and fears that Mr. Musk could use his influence to sideline powerful figures within the movement to promote his agenda. Mr. Musk does significant business with the federal government as the chief executive of SpaceX, and also runs Tesla. And then again, one focus of the dispute has been the use of the H-1B visas. And then Mr. Bannon said that Mr. Musk, whom he described as having the maturity of a child, had lost the policy debate over the visas. He also questioned whether the tech billionaire should limit his involvement in US politics because he was born and grew up in South Africa during apartheid. He should go back to South Africa, Mr. Bannon was quoted as saying.
Who's acting like the man?
I agree. Though one has to say, Musk did show a lack of judgment in going after Nigel Farage. And particularly on the issue that Nigel Farage said, I don't want Tommy Robinson in my party, the Reform Party. And I mean, Farage is absolutely right. I mean,
Absolutely right. Okay.
you want to gain respectability. You want to gain voters. You want people to come in and vote for reform. If you have Tommy Robinson there, you're going to lose voters. I mean, it's done. You're done. You're not going to win any elections if you have Tommy Robinson there. I mean, it was just, and then Musk really went after Farage and said Farage needs to be replaced as leader. I mean, that Farage needs to be replaced as leader. It's his party. I mean, that he actually owns it. That as a entity, he actually does own that party. So I don't know how you can replace Farage as leader. And again, Musk kind of backed away from that, but it does show a certain lack
Well,
of judgment on Musk's part.
all the more so. I mean, one of the um, important elements of the MAGA movement is why is the US meddling in so many other countries'
Right,
politics? And then you
right,
have Elon Musk saying what kind of party should exist and
right,
leadership in the UK.
right,
That's again, that's bad imperial
right,
habits, and it's the mindset of a man child.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Um, and then here we have, again from Politico, Bannon taunts Musk. And it says he doesn't have that much power. Um,
Politico brought to you by USAID.
Politico brought to you by USAID. And says Bannon, a former chief strategist for Trump and host of the War Room, told Politico White House bureau chief that Musk has had some influence over cabinet picks and policy discussions, but that he doesn't have the ability to actually make decisions and inform those decisions and drive those decisions.
I would tend to agree with that.
I think so too. I think that you know Trump kind of likes him having there, but that he's a lightning rod.
Yeah,
Let him take some of the heat.
he's Spiro Agnew.
Exactly, exactly, and and it's worked. I mean, if you look at the headlines in much of the media, it's all about Musk. They're attacking Musk. They're not attacking Trump.
Yeah, well, see, here we go, everybody, and this is we have to try to get into Trump's mindset, which may be ultimately a futile exercise. Trump wants all the credit for the good things, all the criticism, let Elon take it.
Right.
That's what he
That's it.
wants.
I think so. I think so too. And then in dismissing Musk's influence, Bannon pointed to Scott Bessent winning out over Musk's favorite Howard Lutnick for Treasury Secretary. He also noted that in the fight over H-1B visas, the Tesla CEO has already budged by acknowledging that the program needs reform. Biden said that they'll move Musk even closer to the stance of MAGA loyalists, that the program should be done away with entirely. And
Well, I mean, what's in, what this is begging, NPR brought to you by USAID. No, but this is important. These articles that George is giving us, I mean, this is all these liberal rags,
Yes,
okay? But there is a really interesting story here.
right,
And it's something that George and I have talked about, and I've talked about on my program, is, MAGA is what you think it is,
right,
what you want it to be.
right.
And there's another class of people that want to hijack it, they
Yeah,
want to control it. And this is a very, very important conversation.
right,
And for me, all the more so because with great glee and giddiness and happiness and believing a little bit in the future of humanity, is that we've seen the neoliberal left collapse.
right,
Okay. I mean, right on its face, and they
right,
don't know what to do. But as much as I'm happy about that, this debate here, they haven't really said it directly, but it's at the center of it, is we have to get rid of the old GOP.
right, right.
Okay.
That's right. And I think that's the important point, that here we have these the populists, the people who have propelled Trump to power, and suddenly you have these billionaires who have very much their own agenda.
Yeah.
Um,
They're
and
clingy.
yeah,
They cling.
exactly, and they've moved in on Trump, and they've always suddenly Rupert Murdoch was in the Oval Office the other day. You think, what's Rupert Murdoch doing? This is a person who was out to destroy Trump, and
I wonder
Murdoch
what
is
that
now back
what is
in the Oval Office.
the Murdoch tongue bath look like?
Yes.
I don't. I'm sorry, everybody. You may not get that thought out of your mind for a long time.
I don't think so. I mean, I mean, Murdoch he's grotesque. I mean, he looks like a gargoyle.
Yeah, I mean, Charles Dickens couldn't come up with more of a brute.
Yeah, it's a terrible thing. It's when I saw, Rupert Murdoch is in the Oval Office, I dreaded. Oh no, now the camera's going to give us a shot of Rupert Murdoch, and yep, sure enough, we suddenly saw Rupert Murdoch. Wow, he looks even more hideous than the last time. Anyway, he gave this. So Bannon gave this interview to NPR, and
Kudos
it's
to him. Steve Bannon, there's a lot of things you can say about him, but he's willing to talk to
yeah,
NPR.
he does.
That takes stones,
That's
everybody.
right. That's right. That's right. He says, MAGA populism will win as Trump is surrounded by billionaires. And then here he's asked, I've heard you talking about oligarchs using the same word that President Biden used. You played the clip of Biden the other day on your podcast, and you talked about oligarchs and named Zuckerberg and some others. Where does Elon Musk fit into that? And then Banner says, well, there are two sets of oligarchs. There's what we call the lords of easy money on Wall Street, and then there's the oligarchs in the apartheid state of Silicon Valley. Now, he's using this apartheid, obviously making a reference to Musk and South Africa, but he's particularly saying apartheid, they have those people who are billionaires, the T-shirt billionaires who are making staggering amounts of money. And then, and then they're bringing in essentially indentured servants to ensure that they go on making their huge sums of money, which is kind of what South Africa was. I mean, they're also bringing in indentured servants into the country.
Look, I mean, again, Steve Bannon, this is what makes him such a lightning rod. I mean, his usage and choice of words we can talk about, okay? It's very, very intentional, but he's not wrong.
That's not wrong. And they're clearly oligarchs. They have concentration of wealth and power. With President Trump, I think Musk has very little power. He has some influence, but he has very little power. And then, first off, these oligarchs are completely created by the Democratic Party and the lords of easy money. Remember, for the last 4 years, they had no problems at all with the oligarchs until they flipped and surrendered after we won. Elon Musk came a little earlier because he saw the writing on the wall. He's a smart guy who could actually see the true polling and saw where this was going. He's the first man out. But Zuckerberg came and surrendered afterwards. Bezos came and surrendered afterwards. Mark Andreessen came and surrendered afterwards. They saw the game was over.
George, that's very interesting observation here. What do you bet? And I don't know if we'll ever find out, but considering the enormous wealth that Elon Musk has, maybe he just bought a polling agency and just tell me what the real numbers are.
Right.
Yeah, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, he's a smart guy.
right.
Okay, let's not. Why don't we get some polling data? He'll say, no, buy one, make one.
Yeah. Yeah, no, no, you're absolutely right. Because polling data, good polling data, are very,
It's
very
hard to come
expensive.
by. It's hard.
Because they're very expensive. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we have lousy polling data because they're the ones that are relatively cheap. But to get good polling data, that costs a lot of money because then they really have to target their whom they poll. So yeah, he can buy it and say, yeah, I know which way this is going.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, then it says, so this is an NPR says, I want to drill down on Musk specifically because you've spoken about him in a particular way. Why is he so dangerous if he's not that powerful, not that influential, not really in Trump's ear that much? And the band says, I'm the one who said three very positive things about Musk. Just for the record, number one, he came in and backed our play in May and June of 2024. Number two, I've been talking about deconstructing the administrative state for a decade. We've been trying to do it. Musk comes in with his Department of Government Efficiency concept, which is dovetailing right in with the Office of Management and Budget. If we have a shot to deconstruct the administrative state and just take down some of the regulatory apparatus, but cut the costs, it'll be his efforts. And number three, we've been working in Europe for years, and because there's so little money in European politics, there's not a centrist government, centrist right or centrist left government that will stand. He brings the two tactical nuclear weapons of modern politics. Bannon loves this kind of talk, tactical nuclear weapons. It's like
Of
he
modern
calls his
politics.
show War Room. He loves this belligerent talk. He brings unlimited cash, and he brings a social media platform that he can bind or loosen. Um, and then so Inkscape, and
I'm
yet you.
not really. I'm not really sure he made his point to those three.
I don't think so. I don't think so either.
He
Uh,
essentially everyone. He didn't answer the question.
he didn't answer the question exactly. Just let it go. And yet you've been very critical of him in recent days. Why? Well, it came to a head with the H-1B visas. We're populists. We believe American citizens should come first in everything. And in the visa program, there is no legal immigration in this country, to this country. And then says, this feels like way more than a disagreement over H-1B visas. And then Bannon says, no, it's a fundamental chasm. Here's what upset me.
Actually, for NPR to ask that question was actually very smart.
Very smart. Yeah, I agree.
That's it.
Yeah. No, it's a fundamental chasm. Here's what upset me and why I got engaged. Musk called the American citizens retards, the R word. And then they put in parentheses, which is a right correction. Musk didn't use the word himself, but promoted a post on X that used it. He dissed the MAGA movement as being racist, which is the old trope of the left. He used all the left tropes to come after us. These oligarchs of Silicon Valley, they have a very different view of how people should govern themselves. I call it techno-feudalism. They don't believe in the underlying tenets of self-governance. So we will break all these guys eventually. They're all broken right now. Um, but again, he's making these very, legitimate concerns. It's like, whom will Trump serve? I mean, is he going to Trump serve, the workers, workers in the factory towns that voted for him, voted for a Republican, which I hadn't done in generations, or is he going to serve these Silicon Valley, the
Yeah,
T-shirt billionaires in Silicon Valley?
it's really interesting because people like Elon Musk, and I'm going to compliment him here. He's a problem solver. He
Right,
can he can process an enormous amount of information and see
right,
things that most of us will not. And again, I'm complimenting him, but he's not ideologically informed, and
right.
this is Bannon is so much more
That's right.
powerful. Um, Bannon knows how things work,
Right.
okay, and Bannon has a vision of where he wants to go.
Right.
I don't think you can say that about Elon Musk.
Right. No, I don't think so. And I think he's just sort of moved in on this populism, but without really having thought much about it or really taken any interest in this. Bannon has been doing this for a long, long time. I mean, he was, he went back to the Tea Party era, but that failed because ultimately all they could think of is cutting government spending, which Bannon does, but it doesn't. But you have to put it together with other things to make the whole thing, you know, palatable to the public. Just promising cutting government spending, which is what Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan
George is
did.
right.
That's political suicide.
But George is right. I mean, you know, let's cut government spending. Okay, well, that's a great idea. But then what do we cut? No, that's when
Exactly.
you hit a brick wall. Okay,
That's
because
right.
a lot of Americans like government spending. Okay,
Right. And you
they do.
exactly, and then you say, well, you have to come up with serious cuts. If you remember, Newt Gingrich, he wasn't, there was again, it was the same thing. Republicans come into power and say, we're going to take the axe, the meat cleaver to government spending, and then you can't even cut, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. I mean, even that little bit that you can't do. So then, what's the point? So you just stop pretending that you're going to do anything.
Yeah, and that's why what's different now is that Trump is using executive orders
Right.
to start paring down the
Right.
administrative state.
Right.
And what he's doing, he I remember talking after the election, what is Trump thinking about? Well, I was completely wrong, everyone. Absolutely categorically wrong. They had a plan, and we're seeing it
Right.
right now.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
We're seeing it right now. Um, um, Going after USAID, we've done videos about this. It's a very interesting story. There are
Right.
a lot more angles than the, left versus right. There's a lot more
Yes.
involved here. But this is absolutely political brilliance on the part of the Trump people. And
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised if someone said, again, I'm just speculating here,
Right.
Steve Bannon said a couple of years ago we
Yeah.
should do this. And I'm sure like that's what like, yeah, yeah. Because Steve Bannon has a mission.
You're right.
Okay.
Yes.
But what Elon Musk does is that I'm coming in fast and hot and I'm gonna break a lot of things and it's gonna be a lot of fun.
That's right. That's right. No, I think they were prepared, and they were prepared that they're going to be fighting in the courts. That all these things they're going to be hitting them in the courts, and they're going to
Yeah,
be.
yeah, yeah.
This is
Blah,
exactly
blah,
what the
blah,
Democrats are going to
everyone.
do.
It'll go through the courts. George and I will be doing our 40th anniversary. Okay, when it's still in the courts. Yeah, good luck
That's
with that.
that's right. That's
And
right.
they're prepared for that.
No, that's right, and that's why they were clearly prepared, and they knew this was exactly how the Democrats would respond. They would file immediate injunctions against the administration, and now they've got I don't know how many lawsuits are pending.
Yeah, but the sign on top of USAID is gone. I had dinner with Alistair Crook and his wife yesterday. And even she told me that one of her, I think it's a distant relative, she's packing up from some African country. The evil orange man took my job. Okay. I mean, it's the impact of this is just truly extraordinary. I think that this is something that came from Bannon World, and just that Elon Musk gets to be in front of the parade.
Yeah, I agree. Um, and then here, this NPR says, you suggest a scenario where Trump is effectively using these tech leaders. They're up on stage with him as though they're totems of his triumph. Are you sure he's not using you, though? And it might be the reverse, that they're going to get what they want out of this and you're not. And then Bannon said, well, it's a process, right? This is a populist nationalist revolution in this country. It's been building for a long time. It takes a real understanding of how the system is and what solutions are populist solutions to change it. So is President Trump using us? No, it's his movement, right? We wouldn't be in a movement if President Trump hadn't come along. Um, and then here, this was kind of interesting. He was Bannon again. He gave this interview to Russ Douthat, who's one of the New York Times columnists, and Steve Bannon on Broligarchs versus populism. Broligarchs, which is I mean, I think it's like bromance, like
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
bromance and oligarchs
yeah,
together.
this was like what is it? Um, Gazalargo. Okay, and
Gazalago, exactly. Yes, yeah, yeah. Built Gazalago in the Middle East. And then so here Bannon says, when I say spending under control, I mean trillions of dollars cut this year. When they talk about the 10-year cycle, they're lying to you. It's irrelevant. I worked at Goldman in turnarounds. The only thing we should be talking about is fiscal year 25 and fiscal year 26. These 2 years, what do we cut? How close can we get to a realistic economic model that gets us close? And then he says, and the best way to do this is to put a gun to the head of the wealthy and say, okay, expletive. If you don't help us cut spending by backing your lobbyists off and backing off the corporatists and backing off your big shareholders and you yourself, if we don't get that out, and let's start with the defense budget. We just agreed to a 900 billion National Defense Authorization Act, which is a former, which as a former serving naval officer and a guy whose daughter went to West Point and she gave 8 years of her life, we got skin in the game. We're hawks. The defense budget is an obscenity and must be cut.
well, yeah, but that's firing across the bow. Yep, yep.
Right. That's
You
right.
know, I mean, if you're serious, then let's be serious. That's what he's saying.
That's right. And because when you're talking about, you can't cut the entitlements because they're sacrosanct. You can't cut Social Security, you can't cut Medicare. So the only thing you can cut is discretionary spending. Well, that's the biggest discretionary spending there is, which is how much you're spending on your military. And that's just on the surface because all the other things like how much you're spending on intelligence and you got these 17 intelligence agencies, and then of course you've got the nuclear power. That's all comes under the Department of Energy. I mean, the nuclear weapons. That's not part of the Pentagon budget. So there's a lot of money that's being spent on the military. Unless we're prepared to do that, then your taxes are going to go up. And not just your income taxes, we're going to have financial taxes. We're going to get to a balanced budget, and we're not going to do it on the back of the little guy. So this is the populism is espousing. Okay, you're going to have to have some serious cuts. But if we don't get the serious cuts, then we're going to raise taxes. We're going to do this. This is kind of very interesting stuff because Trump hasn't really touched on all this. I mean, in fact, he hasn't touched the whole issue of spending and taxing, other than banal kind of, oh, we're for tax cuts, biggest tax cut in history. But this issue, which is, hey, you've got a ever growing budget deficit, somebody pays for that. I mean, that becomes an ever growing size of the budget because you have to service the deficit.
And Trump's tax cut is remembered by the MAGA base, and there's plenty of anecdotal evidence that it helped a lot of people, but it helped the rich more than anyone else.
Exactly. That's right.
Trump going out doing this again. It's going to be a tougher sell.
You're right.
I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's going to be a much tougher sell. Okay,
It's a tougher
why?
sell. Yeah.
That's why he's going after cutting these agencies down. Everyone, this is Sunday. By the time George and I do this again next Sunday, there's going to be more agencies being
Yes.
taken down.
Yes.
They're moving fast,
That's
and they're
right.
doing it intentionally because the left is and their media is completely off balance. They do not know how to cover this 100 day. They have no idea.
That's right.
They're flailing badly, and this
That's
was all by design.
That's right. No, that's right, because they were expecting that this is going to be another kind of empty posturing. The Republicans promising, "Oh, we're going to do cut, cut, cut." Then, of course, you don't do anything, and the next thing up is, "Hey, we need to raise the debt ceiling." I mean, we go all the spending. We can't do anything about cutting the spending. Let's raise the debt ceiling. And so that's what they were expecting. It's not happening, and that's why there's a media meltdown. And then Bannon says, I'm talking about significant spending cuts starting in defense. Medicare and Social Security are off the side, significant spending cuts. And if we don't get the cuts and the wealthy don't have some cuts, I don't want to increase taxes on the wealthy just because I believe in soak the rich. Maybe I do. but I would not want to be a part of policy. And then Doubthead says, but their view is connected to the argument you just made, which is that there's a technological frontier. We are competing with China on a technological frontier. And then Bannon says, I don't believe one sentence of that. They don't believe that. They don't believe in this country. They believe in this country right now because it protects them and provides some benefits to them. Remember, we bailed out these expletive on Silicon Valley Bank. Biden bailed them out. And when they couldn't make payroll, they could make payroll if they put more of their own money in, but they wouldn't. They had the little guy who bailed them out in the Silicon Valley Bank.
That is so true, everybody.
Of course it is, because
That is so.
they
The
could do it. They didn't want.
financial crisis of 2008 should have been resolved by the bankers themselves. There
That's
was not a need for one penny
yeah,
to
exactly.
bail out those people. They
Exactly.
had vast resources.
That's
You
right.
want to go after Lehman Brothers? That's your business.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
That is
Yeah.
anyway,
You're
makes me so
absolutely right.
angry.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, this always happens. They start screaming about, meltdown, financial meltdown. The global economy will melt down. So, the totally artificial fake panic, and then the taxpayer has to come in and shell, whatever it was, 700 billion just in a matter of a couple of hours, 700 billion just for the bankers. It's the bankers who get bailed out, not the depositors. The bankers got bailed out.
And they nine, how much was it? 800 billion? What was it?
I think it was 700 billion, but
You're wrong.
it came to much more. But that was the
It
original.
came as much $700 billion for Wall Street.
Right.
That's a walk in the park.
It is. Of course it is. And then now, in the last couple of days, what are they talking about? Oh my gosh, we need a Marshall Plan. We need a space plan. We need a Mercury plan. We need hundreds of billions of dollars from taxpayers. They want essentially a bailout. If it's a Sputnik moment, somebody has got to ask the question, yo, Andreessen, we made a deal with you guys. Elon, we made a deal with you guys. We made you oligarchs. We made you the richest people in the expletive history of the earth. We stopped any antitrust. This is what pisses me off the most. No antitrust, not breaking these companies up and allowing entrepreneurs to get in there. Mark Andreessen doesn't believe in the entrepreneurial system in this country. No way. So this,
This
this
is
is
a this is the fact that they put that in. You know why they did? They're reading the public wrong. That's how the public feel.
that's
That's
right.
how the public feel.
That's right. That's right. And again, I think Bannon, realizes that Trump is going to get himself into trouble. The more he identifies himself with Musk, because well, this guy is a billionaire. If you're going to cut government agencies, that's fine. You want to, but you got to cut, things that really need to be cut. FBI, no new building for the FBI. In fact, kick them out of Washington. Dump them somewhere in the Midwest. In fact, they don't know how we'll have to be in the same office. So people will appreciate those kinds of cuts. But above all, that military budget. I mean, that is just ridiculous. There's just no justification for it whatsoever. So that but if you're going to impose hardships on people, that isn't going to go down well. You got to absolutely target the cuts, and then if you don't get the cuts, and I think Bannon said, fine, then we're going to hit the rich. We're going to start taxing the rich, and then get them to pay so to work down the deficit.
Yeah, remember George during Russiagate, Trump is a stooge of Putin. He's a puppet of Putin, and then he puts in his national defense authorization, and they added to it. So here's a guy that is working for Putin, and
That's
you
right.
give him even more money.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
right.
right. Yeah, yeah.
Well, I mean, that will be the proof in the pudding for me. I mean, Hegseth. I'm speechless about this guy, but anyway, he says there will be an audit, okay, before Trump leaves office, okay. He has a remarkable array of tattoos, this Mr. Hegseth. I think he should tattoo that on his forehead and remind us every single day the audit
Right,
and the date,
right,
okay? And
right,
let's start counting the days.
right.
Tattoo it on your face,
That's
okay?
right. Yeah. No, exactly. Imagine, how much did they piss away in Afghanistan? Something like 2 trillion. That's just, that's 2 trillion. That's just gone. And then you say, well, oh, we
Oh, no,
can't,
no,
we
no,
can't,
no,
we
no,
can't, we can't do
no, no,
anything
it's
about the
not. No, no,
deficit.
no, no, no. It's not gone.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
some people, no, yeah, some people, ended up in some people's pockets. Um, but the whole idea, well, we can't do anything about anything because we just need to raise the debt ceiling. Well, that's 2 trillion that you pissed away in Afghanistan, and your answer is, oh well, there's nothing we can do. We just have to raise the debt ceiling. You can't do that. That's where I think things have to change. And that's going to be the measure of whether Trump is really going to change something, or is it just going to be the swamp? The same as before.
We have to, zooming out very, very far. We should be thankful for Bannon and for Elon Musk because and the liberal media is they're looking for a wedge. Well, they got it wrong again. These people can't get anything right
Right.
because what they're doing is they're putting a focus on what's going on in the populist revolution. That's an appropriate term if it comes to fruition. I find it hilarious. Bannon and Musk are having a fight in the sandbox. Well, that's how they look at things.
Right.
But really, it is much, much bigger because the liberal element of this is they've deleted themselves. Thank goodness. Okay, but the the meaning of the last election, which I think George, people say it a lot, but I think it's the most meaningful election of our lifetime.
Right, I think so. I think so. Because there was a real prospect of change, and if that fails, then that will be it. I mean, no
That'll
one's
be
ever
it.
going to try it again.
No one's going to try it again.
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree. I think it's the most important election. I mean, there've been other important elections, but nothing really that
Because the
ambitious, that
elites didn't
consequential.
change. The elites weren't challenged.
That's right.
Okay, this is happening right now.
Right.
Okay. I
Right.
mean, with all of your money, you got to cling to power. Well, that's all nice and fine. I'm glad
Right.
you like me and I'm glad you're going to help my party. But if there's going to be pain,
Right.
it's going to be commensurate to your wealth.
Right.
Poor people don't have much, so I don't want to give them much pain.
Right.
You have a lot.
Yeah.
You have your great, great, great grandchildren can't spend the money that you have.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
on board or become a target. It's your
Right.
choice. Okay.
No, and I think the whole
And don't take it personally, okay?
That's right. No, and I think the whole agenda of dismantling the administrative state, dismantling this apparatus that is completely out of control. That the thing which was was Vindman talked about the interagency consensus. In other words, you created this vast bureaucracy that just simply ignores the will of the electorate, the will of elected leaders. We run things. No, no one voted for us, but we basically run things. And I think that's why it's consequential, because then the Europeans are going to be looking at it and thinking, but well, is there some way we can eliminate the rule of the Ursula von der Leyen, whom nobody voted for, but who seems to just, breezes here, breezes there, and just seems to run things. So I think that's why it's so consequential, that election. Can you make a change? Can you change the FBI to the CIA and all the rest of it?
And to amplify that, the fundamental question is of our time, maybe, is in front of us. Then what are elections for?
That's exactly right.
What's it for?
Yeah.
It just to rubber stamp
Yeah.
the status quo and the advantages of the elite. They just
Yeah.
are boundless. Okay, I mean, then what do we need elections for? This is something that is very interesting to look into because you have people, the NPR and Politico, sponsored by USAID. We're going into territory that it is legally dubious. I would agree. Maybe it is legally dubious. Oh,
Right.
yeah, yeah. But why?
Yeah.
Because people are saying we had an election.
Right.
And our will is being ignored. We elected somebody to change something. Is
Right.
and because our votes seem to be meaningless,
Right.
and that goes back to what happened in 2020, you know
Right.
what I mean?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And so people are going to say, well, maybe it's dubious, but this is what we voted for because the system is not working for us. It always seems to help the system. The system is helped and
Yes.
preserved.
Yeah.
And
That.
and what I'm saying, I think, is really important because if because election results are ignored or pushed aside, or it's just a sideshow every 4 years, then people are going to start saying, well, these people don't observe the rule of law. Look at USAID. I
Right.
mean, they took it upon themselves to decide what was proper. And so the electorate is say, no, then let this guy do it, okay?
Right.
Because your laws only protect you. They're
Yeah.
all against us.
Right.
When the FBI comes to your door, you better not lie, but they can
Right.
lie through their teeth.
Right. That's right. That's right. And then the FBI can just decide, well, we don't like this candidate, so we're just going to harass this candidate, and we're just going to involve ourselves in this election and make sure that the candidate we don't like loses. We've had what, three elections in a row in which the FBI played a prominent role. And I think, the fact that elections are increasingly meaningless, you see this in Europe, and it's in very stark terms. And that's why it's so important, because everything starts in America. It's what happens in America then spreads to other countries. So that's why everyone's looking at what happens here. Because in Europe, I mean, it's like who was it? Rishi Sunak, he gets replaced by Keir Starmer. I mean, what difference did he make? I mean, it's exactly
And
the
they're
same
different
people.
parties.
That's everybody. Just that's it. I mean, it made no difference at all. You have there's a German election. We have like another election, and already we know in advance that it's not going to make any difference. We already know, well, basically, we're going to have Friedrich Merz will take over as chancellor. He will pursue the same policy on Ukraine as Sergeant Schultz. He's probably going to keep Annalena Baerbock on as a foreign minister. Nothing to do with what the German voters want. I mean, it's just like we already know that we have this professional political class, and they just simply swap positions with one another. So that's why it's so significant if you're going to have an election in which something changes. People's voices are heard, and I mean, if this fails, then it fails, and then that's it. Democracy then becomes completely meaningless. Every election becomes just a beauty contest. Well, I like this guy, or I don't like that guy, but this is fun, or he's not fun, and he's good looking, he's got money. It's just beauty contest, totally of no importance.
Yes, and then we will have techno-feudalism.
Yeah.
Chris is right. They can
Yeah.
put on a good show. You know, I was shown some AI stuff that you can generate on your own yesterday. It terrifies me. It absolutely terrifies me. Okay. Where myth and reality, there's no line between them. Okay. That's why this election was so very, very important because if we don't change paths, then you know, George, when it's all over, turn off the lights.
That's right.
Okay,
That's
I'm
right.
I'm not saying that Trump knows the way. All
Right.
I know is for sure is the way that we were on is a
Right.
dead end.
Right.
Is his going to be a success? I have no idea
No,
at all. Okay,
no,
I don't.
no, no. That's right. But I think that's why it's just interesting. This, that now this is this argument or whatever debate between the sort of Steve Bannon style populism and the sort of Elon Musk billionaire class sort of surrounding themselves with around Trump. Where does this end up? How will this be resolved? I think that's very, very, very interesting. I think that we're going to have some idea quite soon where which way things are trending. So thought it was interesting to highlight that.
Yes, and we're going to keep our eye on it because I think that is one of the fault lines of
Right.
it's a fault line within the right populist movement. Okay. Thank goodness we don't have to talk about these ridiculous, absurd liberals anymore. They're on the back foot. I hope they fall
Yeah.
down
Right.
completely. This
Yeah.
is this is where the action is,
That's
everyone.
right.
All
Exactly.
righty, everyone. That's our. I didn't think it would be this long, but that was our mega wrap
Mega
for
wrap for
yeah,
this
mega
week.
wrap. All righty. I'm going to do a rosary tonight in the morning, hoping that our live stream will work out. We apologize for last week, but hopefully it'll work out this time. It was George's fault last time. Last week. Mine before. It's mine before.
Yeah. All right. So that's 10 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow. Please join us. And then Tuesday, 3 p.m. Eastern time for my solo. In the meantime, you can see that these dogs are getting very, very angry, very, irate. They don't think that people are pulling their weight. Feel, hey, we're doing all the heavy lifting. Nobody else is. So if you have a few bob in your pocket, a few bob behind the sofa cushions, under the pillow, wherever, into the tip jar, all of it. Just don't spare them. We're very grateful for all of your help, friendship, and support. The more you're able to donate, the more of these videos we can make, the more we can improve the technology, and above all, we can do something about these dogs, put them in a better, more positive frame of mind. Well, that's the hope. So remember, if you like the gaggle, please like, share, and subscribe. See you soon. Bye bye.